Welcome back to the studio, and I'm really pleased to be joined by Organ Schobesberger, Chairman of the CECE High-Level Technical Policy Advisory Group. Thank you for being here. You're also the Managing Director of Technology at Liebe MTech in Germany. And since 1994, Organ has worked with mechanical engineering in various positions at the Liebe Group, focusing on R&D as well as quality management. Really interesting to hear. And in 2018, he took over the position of Managing Director of Technology at Liebe Earth Moving Division. But you're here today in your capacity as the CECE Chairman of the High-Level Technology Policy Advisory Group. And we are actually going to have a poll in conjunction with this. And what I'd like to do is just now pass over to our hyper moderator to give you the poll question that the audience can answer, and we will also use that poll question for our discussion. So Sabrina, would you like to give us the poll question?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Malcolm. Now, the poll question that is going live now on Slido, be sure to drop your answers in there. The question is, what will the consequences of the future machinery regulation for the construction equipment sector be? Safer machines placed on the market, clearer requirements for manufacturers, burdensome requirements for manufacturers, increased costs for conformity assessment procedures, or no change. So be sure to use Slido in order to select your answers, and I will be sharing the results shortly after the session. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you so much. And Organ, we will jump back at some point during our conversation to look at those poll results, because I'm really interested to see what people think about regulation, if they see that it's going to increase the pain that they're experiencing in the construction equipment manufacturing industry, or it's going to actually enable them. So let's see what the audience says. But on the table today is there's a legislative proposal that opens the debate about AI on machines, and it does so with a pretty radical perspective, I must say, that all machine learning that would become safety critical and make machinery a high-risk machine. So basically, this proposal is saying AI just automatically makes a machine high risk. Is this true? Is this a reasonable position to take?
In my opinion, and also in the opinion of CECE, this is not correct.
Okay.
You cannot classify all machines with embedded AI systems as high risk potential machines. We have to look, where do we come from? The actual proposal of the regulation references to the definition of AI systems in the Artificial Intelligence Act. And in this act, artificial intelligence systems are defined as a piece of software that has an output that interferes in some ways with the environment. Mm-hmm. And there's an annex in this Artificial Intelligence Act where approaches are listed which define artificial intelligence systems. These are approaches like these learning methods. You have supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and you also have the reinforced learning method. And then there are also listed some mathematical and statistical techniques.
Okay.
And these are, for example, estimations. These are knowledge-based estimations. And this, in our opinion, is the problem, because these listed techniques which are not, let's say, defining features for an AI system. And this will lead that a lot of machines will have embedded AI systems.
Yep.
And therefore will be, as I said, listed in Annex 1 and be safety critical machinery products.
Yeah.
But to explain it a little bit better, if you use, for example, your car, you have a GPS system in your car.
Yep.
the GPS system, the software of the GPS system, is based on techniques which are listed in the Artificial Intelligence Act.
Yeah.
And therefore, the GPS system in your car, because it uses, for example, the Kalman filtering, is an AI system. And therefore, the software uses AI methods. So your car, in conjunction with the GPS system, would be a safety critical product.
Yeah, it'd be a risk machine.
A high risk machine, even if you use it just as an assistant system and not as a system for example, autonomous operation.
Yeah, and if we take that example of a car is, just a car, and then if you put a GPS system in it, just to navigate, that would automatically move it to the risk category. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think this is one of the areas where technology and innovation, people get very confused about what things actually mean. And I think when you talk about the definitions like this, we can see one of the challenges of the innovation and technology growing and the legislation growing in parallel. We can see this across any industry or in social media, like everywhere, that legislation and technology are completely out of sync with each other in terms of understanding. And I think one of the other things that came up to talk about was that about compliance and this whole thing around third-party certification. So the radical position the Commission takes, the disproportionate weight of third-party certification over self-declaration. Could you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. Up to now, we have the possibility as manufacturers to do the so-called self-assessment for our machines, as long as our machines are designed and produced according to harmonized standards. And even if these machines are listed in the Machinery Directive under Annex 4 and are, let's say, high-risk products. And the report from the Commission says that the self-assessment should be removed and that all machines under Annex 1, all safety high-risk machinery products, shall be certified by a notified body. And this cannot be the direction in which we should move if we look at the new technologies.
Yeah. And setting that precedent of everything needs third-party certification, and is that third party actually able to make that distinction on your behalf in a way that is actually sensible or practical or applicable?
No, the third-party inspection or the third-party certification is not beneficial at all. It will not lead to a higher level of safety in our machines because the third party will also use the same standards that the machine manufacturers use. So why should be the third-party certification lead to a higher level of safety? So in our opinion, a third-party inspection, a third-party assessment will lead to further burden because it will increase the cost of our product. It will delay the time to market, and it's also not really supporting agile development methods. So we see it as a burden. But I can say, in conjunction with the third-party inspection, yesterday we got the information that the Commission moves in the direction of the ideas from CECE, from our position paper, and they will most probably remove the third-party requirement in the regulation.
Okay. I'm going to throw to Sabrina to give us poll results now, and it would be great, if Sabrina, if you could share with us what the audience thinks around regulation. If you can read out the results for us, please.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Malcolm. So the audience is saying 42% of them that the consequence will be burdensome requirements for manufacturers. So your thoughts on that, Eugen?
Yeah. Definitely, as I said, this will lead to additional burdens.
Yep.
And it will lead our products will be less competitive in the international market, especially outside of the EU. And as I said before, it will delay the time to market. It will increase the cost. It has no benefit, no additional benefit to the machines, and it's not in line with new developing methods like agile developing.
Yeah, and we'll have Sven Johan also speaking, a member of the European Parliament, speaking on this later in the day, in the final session, that it's so important that the legislation that's created is an enabler of the manufacturers, that it doesn't become overly burdensome for them to actually be able to produce their work, get it to market, without a lot of layers of, accountability or paperwork. Last year we had a fantastic presentation from Volvo where they showed a stack of papers, I think it was about this high, that if a legislation came in, they would have to, for every single machine, fill in a stack of papers literally this high. So really, really interesting. I think we have a question coming in from the audience. Sabrina, would you like to share that with us?
Absolutely. We have a question for Eugen. There is no evidence that mandatory third-party certification will lead to higher safety. Should we strengthen market surveillance instead?
I do think yes. We should strengthen the market surveillance, and because I'm the opinion that a third-party inspection will not avoid or will not enable us to remove market surveillance. So for me, market surveillance is much more beneficial than to have the third-party inspection.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, the Commission has the power to draw up technical specifications, risks jeopardizing the consensus-based approach that has been the basis for standardization of process for decades. Can you explain a little bit more about this position and what CECE proposes to do in this area?
It's very clear that CECE proposes that we should keep the new approach also in the regulation for machinery products. And the new approach means that the legislation sets up the basic requirements and the standardization organizations, together with notified bodies, together with users, together with manufacturers, set up the technical details to fulfill these basic requirements. And in our opinion, this procedure shall be kept also in the future.
Fantastic. So just to finish off, what is CECE doing to make its voice heard? What is your process for actually having some intervention in this kind of legislation?
The first step was that CECE asked all the members to give their concerns or to report their concerns on the proposal. And out of this, CECE drafted the so-called position paper. And this is a very broad consensus that we have now, and this is the basis for the argumentation with the Commission.
Yep.
And with this document in hand, CECE regularly organize meetings with different stakeholders from the Commission to discuss the single points in detail with the representatives of the Commission. Then CECE had the chance to present the concerns on the regulation during a web seminar, where more than 130 persons attended from different societies, from third parties. Members of the European Parliament attended, so that this was a great chance to show our concerns to a very broad field. And then definitely we are in close contact with the national organizations, so that also the national organizations bring their input and know what the position of CECE is.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we appreciate you fighting the good fight. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Organ Schobesberger. Thank you so much.